for joining us at 5 o'clock. I'm Meredith Land. We begin with breaking news. We've been following this. Students at UT Dallas and Richardson are the latest to join the campus protest over the Israel-Hamas war. This is a live look behind me. This is our Texas Sky Ranger, where pro-Palestinian demonstrations have been going on for more than 12 hours now. Police, sheriff's deputies, and DPS troopers are, of course, on scene. You can see it's wrapping up. We've seen several students being taken into custody today as officers dismantled that encampment. It is loud, it is chaotic, and we have live team coverage starting with NBC5's Maria Guerrero live there at the scene. Maria?
Hey there, Meredith. Let me set the scene for our viewers at home. This has been going on really since 4 o'clock this afternoon. Part of this encampment has been torn down. What you're seeing right now is the University of Texas at Dallas public safety crew workers and police officers. You know, this right here is part of the encampment that they have dismantled within the past hour, okay? So what you're seeing is anything from water bottles, toilet paper, tires. We have some police officers that we've seen. I don't see them right now, but they have bolt cutters because there are chains in some of these areas, especially with the tires. And what they're doing right now is kind of clearing the way, because on this other side is the other half, if you will, of this encampment. There's some boards up there. I hope it's okay to call this a standoff, really, a peaceful standoff at this point between UTD students, but also people from the public who have come in. Oh, let's come over here. Okay, so things are about to escalate here at the 5 o'clock hour. You can see state troopers coming in with their long batons, obviously heavily armored. I did see, very important, I did see a police officer with a non-lethal weapon of some kind. I don't know if it's like rubber balls. They have, of course, not been used. It has been a peaceful situation, albeit with several detained individuals being carried away, carted away using zip ties. So you can see state troopers are assembled right here. They have still this crowd that refuses to leave. They had very much intended to camp out here until their demands were met by the university, they said. So what are those demands? They wanted the university to come out and condemn what they call, see this sheriff's office, we're not getting involved in that part. We're staying right here and at a safe distance from everything. But they wanted the university to condemn what they call this genocide happening against Palestinian people, and to also stop supporting or receiving money of any kind from U.S. defense contractors like, you know, Raytheon's, Lockheed Martin, things like that. And they were saying they were fully prepared to stay here, camp out in tents that have been dismantled until their demands have been met. So we had at the 4 o'clock hour, this is where it all started. We spoke with one student who was in the crowd kind of watching on. Listen to what she had to say.
This is honestly heartbreaking. I can't believe that people are here against humanism, right here tearing things apart. There's not even an ounce of humanism where people, the way they're treating people, the students, and the way they're tearing things apart, not even with a second thought. It's honestly heartbreaking, and they should be ashamed of themselves.
Can I ask you a question? They were told, everybody was told, because we heard it, you guys cannot camp here. You'll have to disperse before this show of force.
I'm honestly not really sure about all that. I'm just here for SJP, and I'm just here to stand for what's right. And that's humanism. And clearly these people don't believe in that. And that's exactly why we're in this position that we are right now.
So this conflict, of course, goes back to last October, of course, with that surprise attack from Hamas into Israel, a surprise attack, and really tensions have been escalating. We spoke with some students who are here, who are Jewish students, who said, you know, they started texting each other this morning, because this right here started at 5 this morning, and they were texting each other saying, hey, come to school, like, I'm scared to go on campus. Right now, we're in finals week, and this is happening as we speak, and some students said they feel threatened by this, and they wanted really for this to be gone in a peaceful way, and well, we've seen it at least beginning to end, Meredith, but we still have this other half to see. what will be happening in the coming minutes.
And Maria, this morning, school administrators there at UT Dallas told students that suspension and expulsion are an option if they do not disperse. I know you spoke with that student and several others. A lot of people want to know, are these students or is there a mix of people coming in and it's not all students at UT Dallas?
That's such a great question, and that is one of the things that I wanted to ask. I do want to say that the folks who were part of this encampment were very, let's say, closed-minded or very restrictive on who we could talk to as the media, which is kind of ironic when they're talking about freedom of speech and freedom of the press, I guess, did not really mean too much for them today. But I did manage to ask organizers that, and I finally did get them to admit that some of these folks who were part of this encampment, part of this organization, organizing this encampment, are not UTD students, but community members, they said, that are just basically supporting their actions. And this young lady right here, actually, if we could just show her, I have been wanting to ask some people in the crowd, I saw a mother with her children, and she has been one of the people who has told us to just talk to the media liaisons, is what they're calling them. So we don't know exactly who's funding this, who's in there. Some of them, of course, are students, UTD students. Some of them are not. And some of them have ended up in handcuffs or zip ties and detained at this moment.
As this is the week of finals, as you said, there at UT Dallas. Thank you, Maria, for your reporting. I want to get to Vince Sims, who continues our live coverage right now there at the protest. Vince?
Yes, I believe we're on the other side of this from where Maria was, because she was at that front line where they're kind of having that standoff. We're on the back side of it where they're bringing in the pickup trucks to continue to clean out the encampment area. You see one of the school pickup trucks that are backing into the area now. I've seen at least 3. This might be the 4th one coming in of the pickup trucks to clear out this, because they had all of the tents that were set up in there. There were tables with food that were set up in there, and that it was all torn down once the officers started making their line and going through this area. But again, even with the officers coming in and all the chanting that you're hearing, this has remained a peaceful protest that was taking place. Even though the officers went in and they started turning over the tables and tearing down the tents, and then they did start removing people that were inside the encampment that refused to move. But once they had the plastic handcuffs placed on them, they stood up and they were walked out of the area. So it has continued to remain peaceful, just a lot of chanting and a lot of high emotions. But take a look at this video. You'll see exactly what the teardown looked like once the officers started moving in. And we're talking about state troopers, sheriff's department, campus police all went in, and they immediately started just tearing down the tents, turning over the tables, throwing those to the side to clear out the encampment that was put here. Now, as we're talking about who's participating and whatnot, I did have a chance to talk with a professor who was out here. He was not speaking on behalf of the university by any means. He expressed he's speaking only for himself and how he felt about this. Take a listen.
I am really disappointed by the way this has been blown up into a crisis by the arrival of sheriffs and police in riot gear. This was a perfectly peaceful gathering since morning, and the only acts of violence I've seen here are by the police destroying and throwing things. I've seen no acts of violence by my students. I love them, they're my students.
What were you saying earlier? Because we saw when the lines first started forming of police, you were talking to them. What were you saying?
I was just asking them to look inside their conscience.
All right, the university did hand out a notice to those that were here in the encampment about 10 or 15 minutes before the police moved in, and it said in part that this is a written notice that all tents and structures must be removed immediately. Failure to comply with this instruction may result in removal for criminal trespass or other violations of state law and or sanctions under the Student Code of Conduct as appropriate. I was watching as some university representatives, they wouldn't identify themselves to me, but they said we could see what was handed to the protesters that were here. I got a copy of it that I was able to read, and it was handed to them. And then about 15 minutes later, the officers started making their way down this sidewalk and going into the encampment, dispersing that encampment. But again, this has all remained very peaceful. It's drawing a lot of attention and a lot of bystanders. There's a lot of students that are just standing here looking and watching, and other people that have come through. I've seen people just standing here eating ice cream, eating cookies, and maybe they're coming from the student union, just standing by watching all of the activity that is taking place. But again, everything has remained peaceful. They're just watching. We're watching and continue to watch as well, and we'll continue to update you on what's happening.
All right.
I'll send it back into the studio to you.
Okay.